All right, so we're diving into how to recognize a spiritual person today.
Ooh, interesting.
And you guys gave us some really interesting material to work with for this deep dive.
Okay,
Claims to be 100% accurate.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that.
That's a bold claim.
It is.
Okay.
But it's written in this super casual, almost like clickbaity blog style. So,
Mhm.
take it with a grain of salt, right?
Of course, always.
But let's see what it has to say.
Yeah, human behavior is so complex. I'm always a little skeptical when someone says they have it all figured out.
Right, like a one-size-fits-all approach to something like spirituality. I don't know about that.
Exactly. But still, there might be some nuggets of wisdom in there. Let's see what we can uncover.
Okay, so first thing that jumped out at me, they say forget appearances.
Oh, interesting.
It's not about clothes or rituals or any outward stuff.
Okay, so what is it about then?
They say it's something you can almost feel.
A feel, huh?
Yeah, they even say you might sense someone's presence before you even see them. Like a vibe.
Well, yeah, like a shift in energy or something.
It is interesting how some people just have that certain something, isn't it?
Totally. It's like they walk into a room and boom, the whole atmosphere changes.
Yeah, and it's not always a good thing either, right?
Definitely.
Sometimes you can feel someone's, I don't know, negativity or anxiety before you even see their face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like you just sense something's off.
So maybe this energy they're talking about is real, just not always positive.
I think it's definitely worth considering. What else does the source say about this energy?
Well, they dive into three main signs of a spiritual person. The first one is presence.
Presence. Okay, I can see how that might relate to energy.
Right. They describe it as not getting caught up in the noise of the world,
Uh-huh.
but being anchored in some deeper truth. Like you can almost feel it radiating from them.
And what does that look like in practice? I mean, how can you tell if someone's anchored in a deeper truth?
They give this specific example. They say a spiritual person doesn't rush their words because they understand the value of silence.
Interesting. It's like they're not trying to fill every space with chatter.
Exactly. They're comfortable with stillness, both internally and, I guess, externally, too.
That makes me think of those people who are really good listeners. They're not just waiting for their turn to talk, they're truly present with you in the moment.
Totally. And they don't feel the need to offer advice or solutions all the time.
It's more about just holding space for you, letting you process your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Yeah, it's a rare and precious quality, isn't it? That ability to just be present with someone without trying to fix them or change them.
Absolutely. I'm curious, does the source connect this idea of presence to anything else? Like mindfulness, for example.
Ooh, that's a good point. They don't explicitly mention mindfulness, but I think it's definitely implied.
It makes sense. Mindfulness is all about being present in the moment, without judgment. And that seems to be a key aspect of what they're describing as presence.
Yeah, maybe it's just a different way of framing the same concept. But I think that connection to mindfulness makes it more relatable, don't you think?
Definitely. It takes it out of the realm of the mystical and brings it into the realm of everyday experience. It's something we can all cultivate, even if we don't consider ourselves particularly spiritual.
I like that. So presence, it's about being grounded, being a good listener, being mindful.
Okay, I'm following so far, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
What's the second sign of a spiritual person, according to this source? All right, I'm ready for sign number 2.
Okay, this one is inner peace.
Inner peace. Okay.
And they describe it as being able to handle challenges gracefully,
Okay.
not clinging to the good times or
Yeah.
getting super upset when things are rough.
Right, right.
Because according to this source, a spiritual person understands that everything changes.
So it's about acceptance, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Acceptance of the ups and downs, the ebb and flow of life.
It's not about being passive or resigning yourself to whatever happens.
No, no, not at all.
It's more about finding a sense of equilibrium amidst the chaos, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the source even asks this question to the listener. How do you react when life gets tough?
Hmm. That is a good question to ponder, isn't it?
Yeah, makes you think.
It does. Because I think it's easy to talk about inner peace in theory,
Totally.
but when you're actually in the thick of it, when things are falling apart,
Yeah, when you're stressed out or heartbroken or whatever.
right, that's when it's really put to the test. That's when you see if you've actually cultivated that inner peace or if it's just a nice idea you subscribe to.
So true. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on how to actually cultivate inner peace? Because this source doesn't really get into the how-to.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think it's a multifaceted process. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
But for me, a big part of it has been learning to observe my thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them.
Hmm. That sounds a lot like mindfulness again.
It does, doesn't it? It's about creating that space between stimulus and response. So you're not just reacting on autopilot.
So instead of immediately freaking out when something goes wrong,
Exactly.
you take a moment to pause, to breathe, to observe what's happening within you.
Right. And that pause, that moment of awareness,
Mhm.
can make all the difference. It allows you to choose a more skillful response rather than just reacting from a place of fear or anger or whatever.
That makes a lot of sense. So, inner peace, it's not about being emotionless or passive. It's about learning to navigate the ups and downs with more awareness and intentionality.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it's a lifelong practice, right? We're never going to reach a point where we're completely immune to the challenges of life.
True, but maybe we can learn to ride the waves a little more skillfully. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we've got presence and inner peace. What's the third sign?
Okay, number 3 is compassion.
Compassion. That's a big one.
Yeah, and the way they describe it is pretty powerful.
I'm intrigued. How do they define compassion?
They say it's this ability to see straight into someone's heart and accept them for who they are.
Flaws and all.
Flaws and all.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? It made me think, have you ever felt truly seen by someone, like they could look past all your defenses and just get you?
I think we've all had those moments, those encounters where we feel deeply understood and accepted.
Yeah, it's almost like they can see your soul.
It is. It's a profound experience. And it's often unexpected, right? It can come from the most unlikely sources.
Totally. It could be a stranger on a bus or a cashier at the grocery store or even someone you've known your whole life but never really connected with on that level.
And sometimes it's those brief encounters, those fleeting moments of connection that have the biggest impact.
Yeah, they stay with you.
They do.
They remind you that even in this crazy world, there's still so much goodness and beauty to be found.
Absolutely. But I also think there's another layer to compassion that this source maybe doesn't fully explore.
Oh, what's that?
I think true compassion goes beyond just accepting people for who they are.
Uh-huh.
It's also about extending that same grace and understanding to those who have hurt us.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. It's definitely the more challenging aspect of compassion.
Because it's easy to be compassionate toward people we like, people who are kind to us.
Right. But what about those who have wronged us?
The ones who have betrayed us or abandoned us or caused us pain.
That's where true compassion is put to the test.
So how do we cultivate that kind of compassion? The kind that can encompass even those who have hurt us?
It's not easy, that's for sure.
No.
But I think it starts with understanding that hurt people hurt people.
Oh, I've heard that saying before.
It's a cliche for a reason, because it's true. When we can see that the person who hurt us is likely acting out of their own pain or trauma, it becomes a little easier to soften our hearts.
Not that we have to condone their behavior or excuse it,
No, not at all.
but maybe we can start to see them with a little more understanding.
Exactly. It's not about condoning or forgetting. It's about recognizing their humanity.
And choosing to respond with empathy instead of adding more negativity to the world.
Yes. It's about breaking those cycles of pain and creating a more compassionate world.
Okay, so we've got these 3 signs: presence, inner peace, and compassion. But this source does something really interesting. They shift the focus.
Oh.
How so? It's not just about spotting these qualities in others, it's about embodying them ourselves.
So instead of playing spiritual detective,
Exactly.
we should be focusing on our own spiritual growth.
Yeah, they're almost saying, hey, if you're drawn to these things, maybe it's a sign that you have the potential to cultivate them within yourself.
I like that.
It's empowering, isn't it?
It is. It puts the responsibility and the power back in our own hands.
Instead of waiting for someone else to show us the way, we
Exactly.
become the way showers.
And that's a beautiful thing. It really is a powerful idea, isn't it?
It is. It's like, instead of looking for spirituality out there in the world,
Right.
it's about recognizing that it already exists within us.
Yeah, like we're all carrying these little seeds of spirituality,
Uh-huh.
just waiting to be nurtured.
And maybe by focusing on our own growth, we can actually start to see those same qualities reflected back to us from the people we meet.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It goes
man.
back to that idea of the world being a mirror.
That's right. The source even says
Mhm.
that how we see the world is a reflection of how we see ourselves.
So true.
So, like, if I'm walking around feeling all stressed and judgmental,
Yeah.
I'm more likely to see those same things in the people around me.
It's not that you're making it up,
Right.
but your own state of mind is kind of coloring your perception.
It's like if you're looking for evidence that everyone is selfish,
Right.
you'll probably find it.
Exactly.
But if you're looking for kindness,
Uh-huh.
You'll notice that too.
It's like you're wearing these rose-colored glasses or something.
Oh, yeah.
They're filtering out everything that doesn't match your current vibe.
That's kind of mind-blowing, but I can see how it's true.
Yeah, it makes you think twice about what kind of energy you're putting out there, doesn't it?
For sure. So then that brings up this whole idea of the ripple effect.
Right, the idea that our own energy can have a positive impact on others.
Yeah, like as we embody our own spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
it naturally influences those around us.
Without us even having to try.
Not by preaching or
But
trying to convert anyone.
it's just like this subtle energy
hmm
that radiates outwards.
So wait, hold on. You're saying if I'm working on cultivating inner peace, for example,
Yeah.
that can actually impact the people around me.
Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who just radiates calmness?
Yeah, totally.
It's like you could just feel their peacefulness washing over you.
It's almost contagious.
It is. And that's what the Source is saying.
Okay.
That when we embody these qualities of presence and peace and compassion, it creates a ripple effect that extends outwards,
Touching the lives of those around us.
like a pebble in a pond,
I love that analogy.
creating these ever-expanding circles of positivity.
That's beautiful.
And it makes you realize that even small acts of kindness can have a huge impact.
Yeah, totally. But okay, I have a question.
True.
What about when we're going through tough times?
Yeah.
Like when we're feeling anything but peaceful and compassionate?
Right.
Is it okay to not be okay?
That's such an important question.
Yeah, because this source is all about embracing spirituality.
Uh-huh.
But what about when life just sucks?
Well, that's where this idea of embracing the totality of our experience comes in.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means acknowledging all of our emotions,
Right.
even the messy ones.
The anger, the grief, the frustration.
All of it.
We don't have to pretend to be happy all the time.
No, not at all.
In fact, the source says that it's often through those challenging experiences, the
Mhm.
heartaches, the setbacks,
Right.
that we grow the most.
Like that's where our resilience is forged.
Mhm.
Our wisdom is tested.
So embracing the darkness isn't about pretending it doesn't exist. It's about acknowledging it,
Mhm.
honoring it,
Yeah.
and finding a way to move through it with grace.
Beautifully said.
Okay, I'm starting to get the bigger picture here,
Me too.
but I still have one lingering question.
What's that?
How do we actually do this?
Do what?
Become these beacons of light?
The million-dollar question.
Yeah, because this whole idea of embodying spirituality still feels a little abstract.
Yeah.
Like, how do we make it real in our everyday lives?
Well, that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
So there's no magic formula.
Nope. The Source emphasizes that true spirituality isn't about following a set of rules. It's about cultivating a way of being.
So it's an inside job.
Exactly. It's about aligning our thoughts, our actions, our energy with our deepest values.
Okay, so less about doing, more about being.
You got it. And it's an ongoing process, not a destination.
So we just show up every day and try our best.
That's the gist of it.
Hmm.
And, the more we focus on our own inner work, the more we cultivate those qualities of presence and peace and compassion, the more we naturally become those beacons of light that this Force talks about.
It's like we're radiating that energy outwards without even trying.
That's the beauty of it.
So instead of looking for spiritual guidance from external sources,
Right.
we need to tap into that inner wisdom that already exists within each of us.
It's like we're all little lighthouses waiting to be switched on.
And as more and more of us find that switch,
Mm-hmm.
the world becomes a brighter place.
It's a beautiful thought, isn't it?
It really is. It's like we're all connected, and our individual choices, our energy, it all contributes to something much bigger than ourselves.
It's both humbling and empowering.
I agree. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I recognize a spiritual person? But rather, how can I be the spiritual person I'm meant to be?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves.
And maybe that's a good place to wrap up this deep dive.
I think so. It's given us a lot to think about.
It really has, and maybe even inspired us to take a little closer look at our own inner landscapes.
And to remember that we all have the potential to be those beacons of light.
Guiding ourselves and each other towards a brighter future.
I love that. So until next time, keep shining your light.
And keep exploring those depths within.